Thank you, friends, for coming tonight, this impromptu and short notice event in preparation for me for tomorrow. And I just want to acknowledge that being here in Findholm, so close to the caravan park, is very special. I haven't done this before in Findholm. I've done it in the proximity. But coming here has a special experience and meaning for me. For what took place here over the last 55 years had a very strong effect on my life, and it was a very important formative force in what I'm actually going to speak to you tonight. So I've been everywhere, but to bring what I want to share with you tonight to Findholm is something I really want to acknowledge. I want to acknowledge the people who are very close to my spirit. And although I experienced Findholm in the Israeli version of the mid-70s, but very awake. I was a part of a Findholm group in Israel, echoing an indirect connection to what took place here in the mid-70s, which I don't have to describe for you, but I do want to acknowledge the spirit and the presence and the soul of the pioneers, of Peter and Eileen and John and the others. Some of them I knew, and we were in very close connection to them. And I want to acknowledge this generation of just after the turn of the century, for this started in '61, that were pioneers, which I think, when we look at it from the future, it's like another Renaissance, but a different one. Some turning points took place in the middle of the 20th century. It was delayed because of the catastrophes of the 20th century, so it started to really take place in the 60s, and this place was a pivotal threshold, I think, for humanity. And you live in the echoes and the vibrations of this, and I don't think we should project at you to continue anything other than your own striving. Still, it's a special place, and it brings us together. Because what did they try to do? What did we try to do? I was very young, but I was trying to do it, and some of it is still happening. We were trying to do something that was not done before. I'm quite convinced of that in the history of humanity. When I say we, I mean all those who try to do something conscious about personal development, connection to nature, creating new community over the past, 60 years. And that is to create a community that is compatible with the intensive process of individuation at the same time. These two principles were not conceived to be compatible, to be a strong individual, to be independent individual, to be completely original individual, and at the same time to build a community of such individuals. Yes, we had communities before, but the more you go into the past, the more like herds of birds or fish or animals. We were in communities with strong leaders, but it was very different to create community with a level of individual spirit, individual being that we could not stop anymore by the 60s. So here in Findholm, and in our little Findholm in Israel, which still exists by the way, it's called Kibbutz Ha'aduf in Galilee. And there's also another community, a few other communities came from this in other places in the world. We were trying to claim that everyone has a right to be the absolutely unique individual that we are, such that can sing and compose and poeticize like what we heard before, following nobody. And yet, we wanted to live in community. We didn't want to take the individuality into the extreme of egotism, of me, myself, and I. But we did not want to be dragged back to the tribe in which things are set in form, into which we are born into existing roles of men and women, into which we are told what to do or follow somebody. Well, friends, it might sound bombastic to you, but I don't think bringing these two principles together has taken place in the evolution of humanity before the 60s. And so this is threshold here. And for us, this was hallowed ground, because what these people did here was absolutely unique. And the spirit of our time spoke of them in a very strong way. in this place, and I believe and I hope it is still here, but we have changed. We have changed on the way to what took place here 60 years ago, but we also, well, more like 55, but we also changed afterwards. And I think to do that which I defined before is much more complicated now. And we are much more sober about the two sides of things, as we heard in this song. We love the light, we love the purity, we love the beauty and the good, but to really get there, we have to go through the opposites. And that's where we are now. And so what I want to share with you tonight is that there is a challenge that wasn't there before. It becomes more difficult to be human. And because alongside becoming more human, there is also becoming less human, side by side. Alongside the light, there is also the shadow, side by side, and that is not so new. I would like to acknowledge that we are more complex than we have been. And to maybe share with you some model of understanding this complexity. We have been much more complex in the 60s than 20 years and 40 years earlier. This process of individuation is extreme, and it is not going to stop. There's nobody in this room, and there's nobody in this country, and there's less and less people in the world who want to be other than themselves. I'm a psychotherapist in a few countries, and I've been doing this for 30 years. And underlying all the claims and all the wishes and all the desires that bring people to work with somebody like me, I hear constant voice, and maybe I'm projecting it, maybe I hear it because I want to hear it, but I still hear it. Help me to be me. Don't replace me with you. Help me to be born into being. I am special. I brought something special. Nobody has been like me before. I have a sense of what I can be, and I am struggling. Help me. But don't tell me where to go. So I became a midwife of that voice. But I could only be a midwife of that if I did it to myself first, which I believe that I'm still doing. We became very complex in the effort to be human. There was a time when to be human, you simply had to follow what you were told that it is to be human, because somebody knew what it is to be a woman, what it is to be a man, what it is to be of that class or the other class. And it is crumbling all around us. And there's less and less clientele for those who are prepared to tell you who you should be. Those who are invested in telling us what we should be and who we should be are becoming progressively unemployed because we don't need it anymore. So tell me if this makes sense to you. Here is the individual spirit, the individual I, that is progressively becoming more incorporated into the human individual soul, into the body. As you see a child growing, and they become more and more independent. And they need less and less parental guidance until we say, well, it's life, do it your way. That process does not stop there, you see. Adults keep growing in individuation, and we shall not stop that. So here's the human soul. The complexity of the human psyche, call it psyche, psyche in Greek, and Seele in German, and Nefesh in Hebrew, and Nafs in Arabic, and Salem and Lilac in Hungarian, and Dusha in Slavonic. Here's the human soul. And into this complexity, our individual spirit is incarnating step by step, and it doesn't stop. What does it mean? It means that we become more unique and individual, and at the same time, we become more swamped in the complexity of the human soul. We become less available for teaching from outside. We do become more available for teaching from the inside, but first we have to find that inside. And between me and you, now, there's more complexity of soul that would have been between me and you even 20 years ago, let alone 40 years ago, 76 years ago, and I'm not even talking before, we are in the complexity of the human soul. And we have no choice but to project it. And in some regards, we are more isolated, and in some regards, we are potentially more connected. And so, what are we to do? Who wants to maintain community? Who wants to be without relationship, intimacy, family, and community? That will never stop. We will never stop wanting intimacy and belonging. But what stops is how to do it, because we less and less can do it in the old way, following an existing pattern. And there is the tension. And I'm not proclaiming anything new, I'm talking about the tension of the last 60 years. The tension between the desire to be individual and the desire to have a community following nothing. That's what these pioneers did here. That's why I salute them, and that's why it was so inspiring. And it's not coincidental that at the same time, the same attempt to be creating a new way of relating to people, there was happening at the same time a new way of relating to nature and to the planet and to the spirit within oneself and the spirit in the other and the spirit in the planet and the spirit in the cosmos. They all happened at the same time. And this was the expression of, I think, a new civilization. But complexities. Because what is the new culture? What is the new principle of community that incorporates individual? And I don't want to philosophize it too much, and it's not primarily a talk about evolution, but it is about evolution, and it has to be mentioned. Something new has to be created. And here it is. I believe it behoves on the individual that claims to be absolutely unique, and therefore breaks down the given communal social cohesion that we have. It behoves on us who want to be that unique to create another kind of community. And what is the principle of that community? So I'm going to borrow a word that is of that time. A word that started the same time, just around the same time when Peter stuck the first spade into the sands of Findhorn, and with love and compost made it into a garden. At the same time, a word appeared that did not appear before, was never there before. Empathy. And it is becoming so normal to speak about empathy, we think it was always there. But those of you who heard me speaking before know what I'm going to say. You see, sympathy is 3,000 years old. And antipathy is 3,000 years old. And apathy is at least 10,000 years old. But the word is 3,000 years old. This old ancient Greek word on which our civilization is based. You take Greece out of us and the carpet is taken beneath our feet. We are building on these giants of the Greek philosophers. And they had these words. Pathos is feeling, and antipathos or sympathos, this is how we run our lives. Sympathy and antipathy. So everybody thinks empathy comes from the same place. It's also 3,000 years old, and it was always there. Well, friends, it wasn't. The word empathy was coined in 1909 by Titchener, who is a British psychologist who heard in Germany a word called Einfühlung. The Germans, you know, Einfühlung. Are you using Einfühlung?
Einfühlen.
Yeah. Einfühlung. Well, Einfühlung is a word that was invented in 1873 by Vischer. It didn't exist before. It's a new word. Why? The German aesthetic philosophers discovered that artistic appreciation is a conscious act which is not intellectual. Conscious it is, intellectual it is not. What is it? So, you know, the Germans have to think it through. They cannot just have art, they have to think it through. This is 19th century philosophers, and they realized there's a missing word. So they invented it, Einfühlung, feeling into the work of art. A conscious act that is not intellectual. Well, Titchener fell in love with this, and he went to America to start the first chair of psychology in Cornell University, and he tried to sell to an American Einfühlung, but I don't think this word will go well in America. That America cannot speak German really with these original words, so he didn't manage with this word. And one day, he invented a word. He said it's not empathy, It's not antipathy. I suppose it's not sympathy. It's not antipathy. I suppose it is empathy. And he just invented it like that, out of nothing. And it took off in academic circles. Psychology was very new at the time, psychology. Freud published his first book in 1899. This was all baby there. So they played with the word Einführung, and Teacher found it and brought it to America, 1909. But not until people were ready for this has it become a known word. And so you don't find the word empathy in Oxford Dictionary until 1951. It just doesn't exist. Check it. I checked it. It doesn't exist because there was no need for this until then, because we were just recovering from living as tribes. And suddenly, when Carl Rogers claimed that all you need to do to be a therapist is to have empathy, congruence, and unconditional positive love, positive regard, suddenly it took off. And within a couple of years, it was everywhere. You find it in every dictionary in the world now. And then everybody thinks it comes from Greece. There's only one country in Europe not using the word empathy. Guess which country it is? Greece. So don't think you'll get empathy in Greece if you speak about empathy, because A, they know that it's not a Greek word, and B, the closest affiliate to it in Greece is empathia, which means ferocious hatred. So don't try to get friends being empathetic in Greece in this word. I don't know what they use for empathy, but they will not use that word empathy because they know it's a foreign word invented. Why? Suddenly, it's everywhere and people think they have it. No, we don't have it. Actually, the beginning of developing empathy is to realize to what extent we don't. Only when I realize I don't get you will I do the special effort required to get you from your own point of view. I don't need to define it academically, but it's not difficult to define it. It's to understand your reality from your own point of view. Sounds simple, isn't it? But what does it really take? I was fortunate my destiny sent me into theatre for 10 years. When I left Israel, I discovered in theatre my healing process, and I needed healing. And in theatre, we develop empathy, not in psychology. In theatre, we develop empathy. Because if I have to be you, if I have to be some character, what am I to do to become Hamlet? Or Othello? Or the worst of all Shakespeare's speak about Macbeth. We are in forest. Now, so what does it take to be Macbeth? I had to be Macbeth in my journey in theatre. What does it take to look at his hands and the blood is rising to you? What does it take to be on the verge of nervous? What does it take to be an medieval king in Scotland when I'm just an Israeli from the 60s? What does it take? I had to use my body, the way I walk, the way I talk, my speech, my feelings, my humanity. I have to take it all and use it like a sculptor is using clay or timber or stone. I have to sculpt in my physique, in my psyche. I have to be sculpted out of myself, you, or Hamlet, or Macbeth. So, what do? I have to come to know myself as raw material. I have to come to know myself to the extent that what normally we take for granted, I have to take it and sculpt it in something else. So I have to know my body differently. I have to know my speech differently. I have to know my feelings differently. My soul is a raw material for the sculpting of another character. That's where we created empathy in theatre. And I discovered it there. But I didn't want to stay there because theatre was not cutting edge at the time of my maturity in theatre. So I dropped the auditorium and I kept the stage. And I kept particularly the backstage. And that's what I want to tell you today. We can take life and say it's a performance. And then add backstage and say we need to rehearse. We can take life as it is and say it's a performance. How do we practice it? And create a backstage. And step into this backstage and say, we perform. We had a performance. Nikki rehearsed, I'm sure. But when do we rehearse being a mother? When do we rehearse being a father? When do we rehearse being a lover? We do it on the job. Is this responsible? When do we have a chance to rehearse a performance of life. So I dropped the auditorium and I stayed with the backstage. And that's where what we call Psychophonetics came into being, which I want to introduce to you tonight, tomorrow, and Marvin and I, and our colleague Tessa from Hastings, we would like to offer in this place, not just to people from here, but anybody, professional training course in Psychophonetics. And I want to share with you what it means today. But it's back to this striving for empathy. Because I don't think these particular processes of methodical empathy that enable me to be somebody else in theatre should stay for theatre people. And we come and watch and clap and go. This is not enough for me. I fired my audience. I was the vice president of the Mama Theatre in Adelaide, South Australia, and I was very disappointed. I pour my heart and soul into this, and I, with my actors, and I give it to them, and they watch, and they clap, and they go. Well, friends, I don't know about you, but this is not enough for intimate relationship for me. I fired my audience. I stayed with my actors, and also the plays that were written bored me. Really bored me. The last play that I produced was Dr. Faustus from the 16th century. And now a scholar sell his soul to the devil in order to get knowledge and pleasure. This was, bad angels, good angels. This was like, that's where I practiced my stuff. Modern plays did not attract me. So I decided to work with a theatre that happens inside. And the gift of empathy that existed before the word exists, but not much. The gift of empathy that is covered in theatre, I wanted to offer to everybody. Because we are in theatre. And we are in theatre not knowing it. And it's not fair. I would have never put my actors on the stage with audience expecting something from them without rehearsal. I would have never done that. It's sadistic. We rehearse. And we are doing rehearsing for life. Because what does it take to create a new community? It means the following for me. I who claim to be an individual, I who claim to be separate from the old community. Individual in Latin means undividable. Individual means that which cannot be further divided, the atom. Yeah? Individual, undivided. I am the atom, and I want to be that. Okay? So I have to create a new community. How do I do that? Because I'm so much more plunked into the complexity of my soul than my father was, and he was more than his father was, I cannot reach you without reaching first to my own soul. I can not see you with my normal eyes. And in fact, I was born with 12 senses to navigate in the normal world, and I can count them for you. The famous 5 is just basic. We've got 12 senses to navigate in the normal world. Every healthy baby has got that. But I have not one sense to navigate in my own soul. And I've got not one sense to navigate in your soul. And yet we're expected to do something together. We get so intimate, so enmeshed with each other. So much pressing all the buttons of each other with so little skills or perspective to process what it brings out. We needed to develop a new sense, a sense of soul. And it's not given. It's not there in the package when we are born. We have to carve with our 10 fingers in the cold and hard and dark walls of our own soul the capacity to understand another soul. And in the same way that I need some English to speak to you tonight, or as I'll read the translator, I need a soul to meet soul. I need to be in touch with my feeling to be in touch with your feeling. I need English to speak English, and I need soul language to speak soul language to you. And that's where empathy comes to a threshold. I make a step in my development in empathy at the moment when I realize that I don't understand you, I don't see you, I don't hear you, because I am getting on the way of doing that. And at that moment is a threshold. And it can be every day, and it can be a few times a day. I don't get it. And the honesty is, I'm looking at you from outside. But you are not looking at yourself from outside. You're looking at the world from inside. Empathy is not penetrating intellectually and analyzing and summarizing and reflecting on you, looking at you from here. Empathy is to join you and be you. And how do I do that? There at the threshold, when I come to the limit of what I can do with empathy, there I have to confront myself on another level. There at the wall between that level of our relationship and the next one. There at the wall I have to acknowledge that there is a wall. And on the other side of that wall is two people. And only if this one is climbing on that inner wall and this one is climbing on that inner wall, they can talk to each other. But I can't make you climb your own wall. I can only climb mine. Maybe what I will see when I'm climbing my inner wall that separates us, I will see that you're not climbing on your wall and I cannot do much about it. But at least I can have empathy with that. So we have to carve with 10 fingernails in the raw material of our own unknown soul in order to gain some other brick on the bridge to reach another human being. And we didn't talk like this 50 years ago. We were rosy-eyed in the late 60s and 70s, and we thought we can create a new world right there and then. And thank God we did, and we tried. But we realized then how complex it is. You cannot move upwards without moving downwards. You cannot move forwards without acknowledging that you're taking yourself with you. And trees don't grow up. Have you seen any tree growing up without growing down? It's spring now. For every new branch there is a new root, and the roots came first. All winter the roots were working. So trees grow up and down. Could it be that we also grow up and down? Trees go in and out. Could it be that we also grow in and out? If the future of humanity depends, and I believe it is, on the next level of empathy between people and empathy with the earth, I don't need to tell you that this is our only chance. If that is the future, and there is not a future, and we ourselves are the stumbling block for it, could it be that empathy with ourselves is actually the only chance that we have to gain a new capacity to see others? So it's not sympathy I'm talking about. I'm talking about the capacity to see beings from inside. I'm a being. My ability to see you from inside as a being depends on my ability to see myself from inside as a being. It takes one to have one. How do I see myself? So I'm taking it all into this threshold, into this turning point. Can we develop a capacity for seeing ourselves objectively? Can the human spirit in its unstoppable incarnation into the soul of the body, can this human spirit see its own soul? For to start with, there is no perspective at all. Can the dog chase its tail? Can we turn around and see the soul? Or if I turn around, it's behind me still. How can we see ourselves? Friends, the previous generation could not give us a solution for this question. They can put a question. And I am devoted to the study of late 19th century and early 20th century. My greatest heroes are in this golden time before Europe went mad, and even after she went mad. I admire the people who put the spade in the ground for us, but we have to take it further. For they couldn't leave us with pathways for looking at ourselves. They didn't have that problem to the extent that we do. And they didn't have the opportunity to the extent that we do. Basically, we achieved something because we stand on the shoulders of giants. But we want the next generation to say the same, don't we? So let's be these giants, creating something new. Can you imagine? Putting your soul on screen and looking at it quite objectively, with perspective. For that's what's required, I'm afraid. But I'm not afraid because I think it's possible. We have become so objective about the world and about others, and so subjective about ourselves. And it's time we reverse it. It's time we become much more objective about our own soul and much more subjective about others. Because looking at people objectively is false, pretense. Developing science of psychology that look at people as objects subject to statistical analysis is a delusion. The reason is that people are not objects. So what does it benefit us to look at people as objects when they're not? We have to find a way to look at people as who they are. Nobody thinks of themselves as an object, so why should we look at anybody else as object? Even the bodies are not objects. They have their own mind, they have their own spirit and their own souls. We have to start to look at people from inside more. But the only way to get there is to look at ourselves more objectively. That's when you get the tools. How do we do that? So that's what I came to introduce. One way to do it. I can only hope that a few million people doing what I'm doing tonight somewhere, at least a few thousands. I don't claim to be more or better or the inventor of sliced bread. I'm just doing what I do. It's because people have been working on this for 56 years in various ways that we are getting there. And I think in many ways we are becoming more empathetic. But the requirement, the pressure, the expectation, the need to become more empathetic is way ahead of our ability to provide it. There's a gap. And that gap I want to point to. So what I want to share with you tonight is what we, in our pathway of development, created as a bridge. A bridge between me as a subject, looking at the world through my subjectivity, and me who can put myself on screen and look at myself objectively. And intellect is not enough to do that, because the intellect is a reflective apparatus. Something has, it's a mirror. Something has to be there to be reflected back cognitively. We have to create another kind of mirror that does not exist upon earth. We have to activate other kinds of intelligence and other kinds of perception to see ourselves objectively. Rudolf Steiner coined in the beginning of the 20th century 3 modes of knowing, 3 new organs of perception that would have to be achieved to a large extent before the end of the 20th century. And some of it happened, and some of it is still to happen. And the objective of these new sense organs is to be able to see the soul, to hear the soul, and to know the soul from inside. And we are not born with that. See me, hear me, know me. This is what everybody wants, and this is what is very hard to provide because we don't have organs for it. So he called it imaginative perception, the ability to perceive through imagination that which is not available for the visible eye. He gave some exercises for it. And then to develop inspiration, the ability to hear people from inside, an inner hear. We are not born with it. We have to cultivate it. And then the capacity of perceptive intuition, the ability to intuit, which means learning from inside. You know, tuition is learning. Intuition is learning from inside. That's utmost subjective perception. Not reflection, but intuition. I have to be inside of you to perceive you. But people are not ready for it. So what we developed on that basis over the last 25 years, 30 years, is the capacity to hear, see, and know oneself on the way to see, hear, and know somebody else. And I'd like to show you something about how we do that. we had to carve it as raw material. You have to start from what you have. We cannot start from an ideal. We can aspire to an ideal. We have to start from where we are. And with the help of few years in experimental theatre, we discovered the following. That even though we don't have a sense for the soul, we have a sense for the body. And we can sense our body from inside. We can sense when we are hungry, or thirsty, or tired, or fresh. We can sense the state of our body. We have a sense for that. We call it the sense of life. How else do you know how you are physically? It's necessary even for mammals and for all creatures to have a sense of themselves in order to survive. We could see that we can grow it into a sense of soul. Why? Because the emotional life and all our experiences leave traces in the body. Not in the physical body so much, but in the energy body. And because the soul leaves traces in the energy body, we can sense through the body what's happening in the soul. So if I have a heartache, and I don't know why, at least I can sense it. And sensing it makes it into a reality for me. And that's the beginning of putting it on screen. And then I can do something else. If I sense my heartache, I can take my two hands and gesture my heartache. Without any preparation, without any drama training, everybody can do it. I can simply share with you how it feels with two hands. At that point something happened. Actually, at that point a lot happened. Because that which was behind me is now in front of me. Something like this happened in my heart when I have a heartache. I can look at it. It became a three-dimensional space, a sculpted in my body, my soul. That's how it feels. That's what we call gesture. And something special happened in gesture. What happened in gesture is that the central nervous system, which normally is disconnected to the autonomic nervous system, for a moment gets connected. And we get information that wasn't there before. And this is a lot of knowledge, because all the memories are in the body. And in this simple shift from sensing into gesture, there is a deepening of intuition, because I become it. I learn about my soul from inside, not from outside. The intellect is just observing it, amazed, because it's news. And then comes the third one. I can shift out of this position and look at the echo I left in space and see the gesture I just showed you, because it's still there. And then I can see myself from outside. I can look around it. I can see it from different angles. I can shake it off. I can go and have a glass of water and come back. Let's do it actually. It's a good idea. And look at this intruder standing here doing this strange gesture. And I can get something there if I trust my imagination. This is putting it on screen. This is the beginning of imaginative perception. But there's a threshold there. We tend to doubt it so much, we don't give ourselves a chance. I want to tell you that everyone in this room and everyone in this part of the land can see themselves quite clearly. But this is a process leading to it. I'm sure there's 20 other processes do it differently. I'm talking about psychophonetics. And then I can see more. I can start and see what caused it. And I can start and see what is receiving it. And I can start and see the periphery of it. And memories are coming up. And it starts to make sense to me. And then I can provide some remedy. Because if it's in front of me, if my soul is in front of me, with the help of imagination, well then I can be practical about it, if I regard it as real. Then comes the doubt and say it's just imagination. And we say, it is imagination. You see, there's a difference between imagination and fantasy. And that's the threshold. Will you trust your imaginative perception? Will it? And we encourage it. And then we can start to see ourselves with perspective. And then we bring the sounds into it, which is why we call it psychophonetics. Turns out that all memory lives in the chi, not in the brain. Have you found your memory in the brain? You know, they're still looking for the black box, they didn't find it. The storage of memory was never found in the brain. There's an assumption that it is somewhere in the hippocampus on the two sides of the amygdala, in some gap between two neurons, in what is called long-term potentization, which assumed to be the storage of memory, but nobody found it. You know, if you cut this, you lose this. If you cut this, you lose that. But that doesn't mean it's there. Memory is not in the brain. Memory is in the whole life body. And what else lives in the life body is a basic program that operates on our wellness, on our life system, what underlies the breathing, the warming, and the nutrition, and the secretion, and the growth of cells, and the reproduction. It's all in the life processes. It lives in the same chi. And in the same chi also lives the basis of our cognition, the capacity to echo the world inside. This is also in the life body. So, what is this life body made of? Turns out, it is made of the sounds of human speech. Believe it or not. I hope after tonight you will believe it. Or at least give it a go. This is the tree of life. I'm not a professional Kabbalist, I'm just a practical Kabbalist. The tree of life. The language. The sounds of the universal human language resonate in our life body, and it's the equivalent of cells and tissues and organs in the physical body. I'm telling you, friends, we are resonance chambers of the sounds of human speech. We did not invent human language. Human language invented us. You are sitting here, so many resonance chambers of life energy made of sounds. What do you think about this idea?
Great.
I'd like to make it into a direct experience. Shall we? Psychophonetics, funny name. Hey, I had to name it and name it. I created it, yes. I had to give it a name. But it amazed me at some point that we are not exploring the deep psychological dimension of the universal sounds. I expected somebody to do it. Let me show you how to do it. If you want. If you want.
Yeah.
Here's a thesis. Memory, life forces, and imagination and cognition live in the life body. The life body exists. Not everybody can see it. Some people can see it. I'm sure some people sitting in this room can see it. Bless you. But everybody can feel it. Everybody can feel it. And if it's true that it's made of the sounds of human speech, if I speak to you the sounds of human speech, you will feel it. The implications are very far-reaching. But I'll speak about the implications later. Just this, that you're made of sounds. And if I will speak these sounds, they will resonate with you. And it will not be limited to the skin, to the ear. It will echo in your whole life body. Shall we do it? Mm-hmm. All right. I'm going to give you a sound bath. And it's not going to be in Hebrew. It's not going to be in English. It's not going to be in Xhosa. It's going to be in just universal language that all babies speak before we make them into national characters by selection words. In the beginning, all babies speak universal language. They all do exactly the same thing. Let's speak baby language for a moment, okay? If you want, close your eyes. You don't have to. I'll just speak sounds. But if you close your eyes, you'll probably see something more interesting there. Just the alphabet. Listen to your body. And tell me later what it is doing to you. Okay? Sense your body. Say hi to your body. Do you bring your body? You see that? Just check that. Breathe. And have no instructions of what you do. It's just you do what you like. I just give you our mother tongue. Fua. To, tu, ti, ha, ta. O, 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 o. Ah, ah, ah. Ha, hi, ho, hu, ha, ha. D, 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 d. Hadda, hudda, hidda. D. Hum, 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 him, ma, mo, mo. B, 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 b. Hub, hob, hib, ba. Ra, ri, ru, rua. Hi, hu. Va, vo, vu, vi, vau. Sa, si, so, sao. La, lo, lu, li, lao. Sha, 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 lom. Listen to the resonance. It's your mother tongue. I just reminded you. So what do you say? Is it possible that we have resonance chambers for these sounds? But if it's up to you, tell me something. Where have you been?
But it felt like sort of massaging in the shoulders and well, like a massage it felt, yeah.
Something massaged Martin's shoulders. Tell me more.
Wind. Lots of
Wind. I repeated the shh because there's a calming effect. Because it's completely unpredictable what sounds will do to people. So go back to what Mother did at the cradle. Shh. Even though not everybody it works. So the shh is up to me.
Well, it's interesting because my name is Isha.
Isha.
So you kept going sha, sha, and it's like Isha, sha.
Yeah.
So kind of feeling like you're calling me.
Yeah. Interesting. You see, we use these sounds long before we form our memory. We use these sounds long before we could say I. We use these sounds and we survive with these sounds long before we had our present identity. It is right there at the depth of body and soul. Tell me more. What have you done to
It was like if my house area was a drum and it was vibrating with your voice like
That's such a precise description.
Yeah.
Do it with the gesture again. The drum, do the drum again.
Yeah. And it was really like
Hold
it was
Hold it with two hands. Yeah. This is exactly it. I actually didn't give you anything. I just provoked the sounds that live in you. You know when you sing, you got a piano here? Yes, you got a piano here. I can show you for a moment. If we sing in front of the piano and stop sharp, the piano sings back. Do you know that? Have you had this experience?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, let's do it. Come, let's do it. Open the piano for a moment. And did you know that the piano sings vowels as well? Let's do it with E, and you will speak it E. Okay? E. Let's speak O, see what happens. Stop the pedal. Okay, and press again. O. Del Ax Machina. There's God in the machine.
Wow.
Like that.
That is trippy.
Yeah. Release that. Let's pick any sound you like. Come. Just for a moment. Let's sing to the piano and sing back. Not just middle C. Any tone you like. Okay? But it only works from this distance, so we do it. Okay? Sing. Right? You hear me? That's what I do to you. We are made of these sounds. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. How did He create it? Yehi or. Vayehi or. He said, let there be light. And there was light. I'm Hebrew. I was born into Hebrew. The word light came before the phenomena light. You see, in English, Juliet says to Romeo, oh, Romeo, what's a Capulet? What's in a name? You know? A name doesn't matter. A rose is a rose under any other name, right? That's English. Not for the Hebrew. For the Hebrew, the word Shoshana came before the flower existed because God spoke it. The word was spoken into being for the Hebrews and for the Aborigines in Australia. And for those who believe in Brahma too. So the sounds of speech came before the human being existed and it created us. And the Bishop of Ephesus, otherwise known as St. John, said it at the end, 70 years after the event of Christ. In the beginning was the Word. What word? The alphabet. That word. We were created by the cosmic speech. And then they gave us the capacity to speak one consonant at a time, one vowel at a time, maximum a diphthong combination. But our life body, which is a tree of life, it speaks thousands of sounds at the same time, all the time, we just don't hear them. But when I say shh, it resonates. So we can address every cluster of experience and memory in the body with a combination of sounds. And in psychophonetics is a science of bringing together the sounds of human speech and human experience, the gesture or the experience. And we can find a sound that matches it. Which means we can access every memory from any level of existence. We can find the sound what blocks it, and find the sound to release it, and find the sound what is missing, and administer it with sounds. For instance, I will just make a sound and see what it does to you, okay? I will not even do any gesture. Ha! Take it to him and show me what he does to you. Just show me what it does to you. Show me what it does to you. What it does to you.
Oh no.
I did nothing. Let me release it for you. Gah! Gah! A language exists with which we can find a connection to every aspect of experience and either release it or enhance it. For instance, look what that does to you. What does it do to you? Take it to his show. It's homeopathic system. Same, touch same. I can play a whole piano on you. But we don't do it for fun. I'm doing it now for fun because I'm introducing it. But in our psychophonetic sessions, we only use the sounds that are needed, following people's wish to do it after a methodical empathy conversation. And what we do with these sounds is we create people's ability to reach a much deeper level of empathy with their own chi. I could blame on you because your chi is made of sounds. I just wanted to make the case that it's not just a theory, this is our tool of work. No, we cannot see it, but we can feel it. And then we can see it. And I can make each one of you see the sounds. You can see the sounds now. Sounds can become visible. And the life body can become visible. And you know what lives in this life body. The whole earth lives in this life body. The whole healing potential of the second coming of Christ lives in this life body. And we can access it. And we can bathe in healing forces if we access it. But we have to go through the opposite, as in the song that you just sang us before. Light doesn't come without the shadow. We have to go through the shadow to earn the light that is grounded. It's an ancient Celtic proverb that I created here in 1983. As deep as the roots are, so high the branches can be. Blessings on the deep-rooted light today. We have to go through the raw material of our soul in order to reach the deep nutrients in the depth and bring them to the light through our consciousness and blossom. Just like the gorse are blossoming now. Look at it. None of it would happen without deep roots in the dark places, which is why this song was so relevant for what we do. And that's why we are so much more complex than the people who created this place all these years back who are more complex than their parents, I can assure you. Because we've incarnated further. And we could be isolated further unless we are communicating further. That has to start inside. So these are the 4 modes of communication we are using. Sensing through the body the soul that lives in the body. Gesturing spontaneously this sensation. Creating clear imaginations that capture the inner dynamics. And finding the sounds that express these experiences. And according to the wish that must be expressed before, either release it or enhance it according to the need. And become so intimate with our own life body that we can become intimate with other people's life body, but even more important, we can encourage people to become intimate with their own. Empathy is not contagious because it can only happen consciously, but it can be encouraged. But it's not happening unconsciously at all. There is no unconscious empathy. It's evolution. And there will be no further evolution without it. And yet, it's conscious evolution. It doesn't just happen by itself. So with a collection of these tools, with various combinations, we can explore everything that lives in the human soul. But it must be explored by you, not by me exploring you and telling you about it. And we can confront everything that is blocking the flow of life or the flow of soul. And we can digest it because the soul is a digestive organism for human experiences, and many of them are not digested. And they will not be digested by the passage of time because the soul is not made of time. We have to do it by consciousness, enter, capture the indigested elements and break them down and digest them and keep what we need and get rid of what we don't need. We can resource, we can invoke from our higher potential qualities that are humanly missing in our upbringing or social context, but we have to wish for it actively. And then we can enter the psychosomatic continuum and become our own healers. And friends, we have to become our own healers because I'm in Scotland and you know that you cannot trust the NHS for much longer, and I don't know if you can reverse it. I don't think we should become more dependent on external health system. I think we should develop the internal NHS. What do you think about that? We have to become our own healers. No nation can afford its bills anymore. We have to become our own healers. And if you do that, then you can encourage others to do the same. And we can confront our darkness in such a way that a song comes out of it, in such a way that beauty comes out of it, in such a way that strength comes out of it. Because darkness has purpose also, and it can only fulfill it when it is confronted. And much more that we can do. Relationship, parenthood, trauma, sexuality, whatever is on the table to be dealt with psychophonetics and such modalities. It's not so many problems to solve. I'm not enthusiastic about psychotherapy as problems to solve. I'm enthusiastic about human challenges as raw material for spiritual development. Because we'll die, alright? We cannot solve the basic problem unless we have a sense of immortality. And even that doesn't prevent death, does it? So what's the point in problem solving and the purpose of life? We will not survive it. But we can gain something that is not in time from our life in time. We can gain something which is not in space from our life in space. We can get something which lasts death through true human communication. But the key must be found inside. And that's Psychophonetics for you tonight, and that's what I want to share as an introduction for it. And we can take it further if you want. Any questions or responses?
I have one, thanks. How would you apply this? How would you apply psychophonetics.
Yeah. Psychophonetics.
To a problem that's maybe a sort of diagnosis. You know, we all have, we tend to have a problem which is given a name of some type, and there's lots of different health problems, I suppose, to talk about. How do you apply it to that?
It's too general. Be specific. I'll answer it.
Okay, stomach ulcers.
Okay. I'll tell you how I approach it. I spent 20 years in integrated clinics in Melbourne and Cape Town with medical team that gave me the opportunity to explore such questions. And I would not have been able to do it myself, but I was in the medical team and only referred people to me when they didn't know what else to do, basically. So when there's something else to do, they do it. And if somebody comes to me with a medical condition, I don't do anything until the medical procedure at least was given a chance. But what to do? There's more and more syndromes for which there's no procedure. But autoimmune multiple sclerosis, Crohn's disease, spondylitis, rheumatoid arthritis, when the immune system attacks the body. Huh? Do you know how many autoimmune syndromes exist today in the world? 300. 50 years ago, I think there were a few. What I mean, we're developing more and more strangeness of the body attacking itself, for instance. So when it came to conditions like this, they referred them to me because they didn't know what to do and they were honest about it. Irritable bowel syndrome, there's no medical answer. Ulcer. So here we are in the psychophonetics, which is a growing science, psychoneuro in methodology. What I would do? I'll do the following and say what all these experts are doing with this ulcer, I respect in advance. To a certain extent, say, I hope you don't have ulcer, but if you do, somebody have ulcer. Okay? To a certain extent. How they live with themselves, how they regard themselves, how they process their frustration. To a certain extent, it affects this condition. This is the assumption. The assumption is not fixed on to what percent it is. Maybe it's 5%. Maybe it's 95%. We will not know until we enter. So I'm saying to the medicals, you do what you do. And I do what I do. And what I do is I'm exploring the experiential dimension of this condition. Like, if you have ulcer and it hurts, for me, it's a connection. There are things that we don't sense. For instance, the early phases of brain tumor, nobody can sense it until it starts to block some blood vessels. Because we don't sense the brain. So there are conditions that we don't sense. Also, the kidneys and other organs, it has to come to crisis before you sense it. Okay? If people don't sense it, I cannot do anything. But if you sense it, you have a contact. So normally sensing comes from below upwards, from the peripheral nerve system to the central nerve cord to the brain, you get a mental image. That's normal sensing. You see, it's a one-way road. Yeah? We use it as a two-way road. If impressions come to me, I can also go to the impressions. We turn the one-way road of sensation into a two-way road of active sensation. And then I will send this guy to his own stomach. And sense it acutely, which is not what you do for Sunday morning for pleasure, but encourage it. And upon entering direct sensation of this condition of ulcer, he will become intimate with his stomach, and he will cross the fear and the pain, and the disgust and the criticism, and he will be empathetic with his stomach. And then the stomach will speak. You know, stomachs can speak. Have you heard stomachs speaking? Stomachs can speak. Every organ in the body has a song and a spirit, and they can speak.
Through the voice.
Huh? Well, you see, I told you we don't have a sense for it. If I would introduce you to your own stomach, you would have to develop some sensation, some imagination, some intuition. And my role is to encourage you to trust the beginning of your imaginative perception. And then the stomach will speak to you. And you won't believe what she has to tell. All the organs of the body can speak. They hold the memory. And the extent to which that person is affecting and causing their own ulcer, but their own indigestive experience, by their own negativity, by their own anxiety, by their own irritation, will be revealed. Maybe it is 5%. Maybe it is 95%. We don't know until we enter. And to that extent, I can have that person make a difference. Now, did I answer your question?
Thank you about it.
Think about it. I'd like to demonstrate, actually. Anybody sitting here with any pain, physical pain that you want to change? Bring a chair. I'll have this chair here. Oh, yeah, the chair.
Here, okay?
Anyway, do you mind being on camera with this?
No, it's fine.
It's fine? It's fine. With Dr. Major. Now, it's very strange to ask you for confidentiality when it is on camera. But I'm asking you for confidentiality anyway. Because anybody else who is watching it, they will not be with that experience, so they don't know. So you know, and let's be confidential about it, okay? Can you join me in that?
Yes.
And also, I ask you to join me in a promise to Yangtze?
Yanto.
Yanzo. To Yanzo, whatever Yanzo.
To.
Yanto. Yanto.
Yanto.
Okay. Where is it from, the name?
Wales.
From Wales. Yanto. So, I offer Yanto a complete respect and honouring of whatever you choose to share with us. Not if we like it, just it's a promise. Can you join me in that?
Yes.
It's smoking free and it is criticism free, okay? And also freedom. You don't have to do anything I suggest.
Cool.
You do just what you want, okay?
Sweet.
Then it leaves me free to suggest stuff.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think, oh my God, is it right for you? I'm not that clever. I suggest stuff and you do what makes sense to you.
Okay.
Cool. Freedom. Okay, what is it?
Share my tooth, my jaw.
Okay.
I went to the dentist.
He went to a dentist. I'm not replacing these guys, okay? Yes?
I went to the dentist and she said that I thought I was going to get a load of fillings, but she said no, it's bone loss and the reducing of the gums, and that shocked me. And I was like, and she said, you know, there's nothing you can do to improve it. All you can do is stop it from getting worse.
Well, how do you do that?
By being very diligent with my teeth cleaning and, you know, not eating sugar and all
Stop
of that.
biting
kind of
people, stuff like that. This is where people like us come in. Humbly, they acknowledge they don't know what to do, basically. Clean your teeth is not an answer for reducing of jaw bone material, is it? And so that's where we enter and we say we're not competing with anybody, but to a certain extent, I believe he has some impact on it and that we will find. But Yanto told me that he's shocked. So we have to agree with that as well. Tell us a bit about that.
yeah, well, I remember when she said it in the dentist room, the idea of my bone, the bone of my jaw reducing, and she said, you know, you're a young man and you don't want your teeth to fall out, and I don't want my teeth to fall out.
But she has nothing to do about it. It reminds me of some Hitchcock films. You're just sitting there and being reduced. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
You look to me like a practical, intelligent man, but you cannot do anything about it.
It scared me. It stayed with me. It was just a few days ago, and it's been on my mind a lot.
And all you can do is brush your teeth.
Yeah.
So much for 1,000 years of medical science. Well, Yanto, what would you like to do about it?
I would like to make some sounds and for my bones to restore themselves.
Bones restore themselves. I don't know to what extent Merlin will support me tonight, but I'll try. What do? We have to see what Yanto can know about it. Yanto, are you prepared to enter a deeper level of intimacy and empathy with your jaw?
I would like to. Whether I'm prepared or not, I feel a bit nervous.
Oh, you feel nervous.
Yeah.
Feel nervous.
Okay.
Tell me about it. Why are you nervous?
Because from what you've already said, there's this sense of intimacy and And that makes me nervous.
Feel it.
I've been talking about that also recently, that my fear of being seen.
Feel it. Feel it. Please listen to it. Listen to your fear of being seen. Don't dismiss it.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot do empathy by dismissing signals like that. Acknowledge it. Listen to it. There's a part of you that didn't choose to be in front of these people doing this session, right? Some
Sure.
part of you did, but not all of you did.
Sure.
So take a moment and get permission. Can you ask it? What do you need as surety, as safety from me, from us? What can we do so that you'll feel that part of you will feel safer here? Is there anything I can do or promise you? I would like to make it safe.
Mm.
What does it need from me?
Yeah, well, I would like to hear that it is safe. I'd like to hear that it's safe from the room as well as just from you.
Let's listen to the danger. Let's listen to the danger.
Mm.
In what way can it be not safe? What's the worst that can happen sharing it with these guys?
That they would think unkindly of me.
Yanto, a part of me is afraid that you will judge him and feel unkindly towards him if he will open himself in vulnerability to you. So take a moment. Ask yourself if you can offer him solemnly a promise that you will not think unkindly of him. And you will have nothing but respect and compassion to his condition. And God knows each of us have our own conditions. If you can reassure that part of Yanto that respect and honoring is all that we will have in our hearts and heads, sharing it. Just nod your head.
I swear.
They mean it, Yanto. And you know, they all imagine themselves being in your position. That's what normally people do.
Mm-hmm.
So they would want me to regard you like I would regard them in this position.
Yeah, for sure.
So they respect you for being here because not all of them would be here.
Yeah.
So tell this part of you that you're among friends in Findholm, and there will be no judgment here. What does it say?
Sounds good.
Green light. Got permission. Good. And now, between you and whatever happens there is shock. So we have to go through the shock. So remember the shock. And the dentist says, basically, your bone is receding and there's nothing we can do about it, really. Remember what it did to you. Feel it in your body. As if it's happening now. Because it is happening now. And take your two hands and show me how it felt.
Like that. That was like, when she said it, shit.
Acknowledge it. Just acknowledge it. And feel it completely. It is not dangerous to feel it, Yanto.
Mm.
Feelings are not dangerous. Feelings is the best we can do. want to show you something, Yanto. Come with me. Shake it off. You see, because you entered it by choice, you can also exit it by choice. Enter, exit, and behold. We call it the Persephone process. You want to see him?
Stephanie.
I'll tell you more about it later. You want to see him? Who had a shock?
Yeah.
Turn around.
This way.
There. No, come here.
Oh, I see.
You need perspective. There's it, Jensen. That shows Yehuda and our friends what it was like to receive this particular diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell us what you see.
Well, I see me making that motion with my hands
See it.
and his eyes
See it.
wide.
His eyes wide. And this motion came from somewhere. So I give you X-ray goggles and you can see where it came from. Where did it come from?
It was in my chest, from the centre of my chest.
From the
So
center of your chest.
came out.
Came out. Look at it. It looks like there was an attack. Someone got attacked. Something did it to you.
Mm-hmm.
But before we proceed, I'd like you to close your eyes for a moment and sense your jaw.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening there now?
Just a general tingle, just around the rim where my teeth are meeting the bone. Just a general tingly vibration, and I can feel the sort of the U shape
Right,
as a double, you know, one above the other.
right. Remember this tingle, because I want to see if what we do helps it. So, how bad is it out of 10?
It's 1.5.
It's
low.
1.5, it's not his worst evening, okay?
Mm.
I still want to show you that. Come here. Come here. Shake it off. Look at him. He's got a tingle in his jaw. Can you see it?
Yeah.
What's happening there? What do you see?
He's moving his hands in the shape around, describing the shape of the tingle.
So look through the gesture into the tingle that the gesture can express. And I know there's nothing there, but if you could see what happens in his jaw, what would you see?
To me it looks like two thin lines of blue light.
Two thin line of blue light. Here's something the dentist will not tell him. It's just not a part of the training. Two thin line of blue light, and we still don't know the meaning of it. These two thin line of blue light, what are they doing to his organism?
What are they doing to him, to his body?
Yeah?
They're saying we're here, or I'm here, you know. They're calling attention to.
Calling attention. Well, there's a signal.
Mm.
There's like a, how do you call it, Mayday signal.
Yeah.
Yeah? So we have to listen to that.
Mhm.
You know, it's the law of the sea. There's a signal, we have to come close. Not far. But before we do this, look at him. Because he's still there with the shock.
Yeah.
How is he doing now?
The shock seems to have receded.
Okay. How is his heart?
having difficulty knowing what his heart is like, because, you know, I'm so in touch with what my
So
heart is
feel
like.
in your heart. Follow what happens in your heart.
Feels quite loud.
And what does it say? If you translate it into English. Translation. And I assume that Janto has got a lexicon, got a dictionary, hard English. He's going to tell us.
My heart's saying I'm awake, I'm alert, I'm
Right.
paying attention.
Right. It's okay. Is this okay?
Yeah.
But if you think it's okay, tell your heart it's okay. Tell it it's okay.
It's okay.
What does it say?
Okay.
It's not complicated. Now, look at his jaws again. He's a call for help, he's a mayday, he's a signal. Attention, attention. Let's come closer. To these two blue lines. Listen. What's happening there? What's the message? I interview him. I will not answer this question myself.
I'm struggling to know what the message is other than you know, we're sensitive, we're hurting.
We are hurting. Believe it. Look at the hurt. Yanto, I'm asking you to go on a mission.
Mhm.
To become these Joes that are suffering.
Mhm.
I can ask you to become Hamlet or Othello or you Joes. It's a character. And he doesn't speak English.
Mhm.
And the only way to really understand it is to become it.
Mhm.
So, come closer. Close your eyes. Feel this tingling again. And instead of talking about it, become it. Take your two hands and show me how the jaws are feeling. Trust it, trust it, trust it. Do it with your body. He knows exactly what to do. I did not tell him. How does he know? That's the beginning of intuitive perception. Thank you. I'd like to show you. Shake it off. Look at him. He stands here. He's doing this. Look at him. Yanto is standing here, acting the role of the jaws. Can you see him?
Yeah.
What do you see?
See this discontent this irritation, this
Irritation.
this.
Something is doing this to your jaws. Give me a cushion. This cushion is good. And we're going to take it further. This is a jaw. And something is doing this to it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Come and do it. Do that to the jaw. Now you're coming like you are it. Yes, do it for me. Your body. Do it. Somebody has to do it. Freeze! Who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah. I'm interviewing from the New York Times. The Guardian is too busy with the elections, so somebody has to do it. Who are you? What kind of me? And why are you doing this to yourself?
Because I'm not happy about something.
Secret comes up. I am not happy about something. And what is it? You're not happy about. And I know that you don't know. But if you did know, what would it be?
I'm not happy about how I'm using my voice,
Mm-hmm.
or how I'm not using my voice.
The voice you're not using. Feel that. And is a voice you're not using. Remember, the voice that you're not using. If you used it, what would it sound like?
It would sound deep and resonant and strong and expressive.
Would it speak or would it sing?
Both.
Both. Imagine.
Yeah.
And speak to us.
I will.
Any chance of trying now?
Now?
When I entered this room, a thought came through my mind. Now is eternity. Because now is eternity, not? And here is the cosmos. Are we somewhere else? Are we in the cosmos? What is it? In the cosmos. So it's a cosmos. Now is eternity. Speak.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
And what would you really like to tell us? Speak to us, Jan. There's something that if you don't speak to us, nobody will speak it to us.
I'm not sure what I wish to speak to you all. And saying that I'm not sure what I would like to speak is perhaps what I would like to say. That there's all kinds of uncertainty within me about what I would like to say. And I have this sense that it would flow more and more if I began.
I would like to testify that today, the 7th of May 2016, as far as I'm concerned, you have begun. And if anybody else feels that he has begun today to speak to us, just lift your hand. We are witnesses that you have begun. And how could you know more before you speak?
Indeed.
Speak and you will know. Imagine. Imagine Yanto that speaks. Even before he knows. Speaks in order to know. Just imagine. Close your eyes and imagine. A speaking Yanto. It doesn't know, wait until everything is known before he acts. No mother can tell the color of the eyes of the child before it is born, for instance. They may know the gender with these machines, but not how they will look. And open the eyes. So we have to speak it. Imagine Yanto. That he is expressing himself fearlessly. Can you imagine it?
Yeah.
How would it feel?
It would feel natural and novel that the words come first.
The words come first. Words come first. Just imagine that. And when God created light, what did he do? What came first?
The word.
The word came first. And he created light. And there was light. And then he said, the light is good. He couldn't say it before he spoke it. He didn't say, let's do statistic research and market research if light is needed and if it is good. He just spoke it, and there was light, and then he said it was good. Just imagine. Speaking it as the first act. And you have many years to live.
Thank you.
And how is a tingle in the teeth now?
Yeah, it's improved.
Gesture it.
What?
Shall I take it once from me?
Well, I couldn't. When you asked me the question, I couldn't actually feel the tingle. And I started clicking my jaw together to see if there was any sensitivity. And it's still a little bit there, but it's reduced. It's reduced.
Just exactly how it is now. Show me with your hands. Exactly how it is now. We compare same with same. Yeah. Cool. Now sit down. Because something else is happening. Close your eyes. And feel the restorative process in the body happening. 24 hours a day. Between the first breath and the last breath, the healing force of the life body is in operation day and night. Can catch it and collaborate. We call it apprenticeship with the life body. Something is happening there, I believe, now, restoring. We saw what's destroying, and something in the body is now restoring. It includes calcium, it includes regrowth, it includes the growth process. The teeth and the jaws are living organisms. And this life process and death process in every organism. We touched the death process. Let's touch the life process now. Shall we? Sense it. If your life body is now restoring something in your jaws, catch it. And of course, You cannot see it. It's a fourth dimensional body. You cannot see the fourth dimension with physical eyes. The life body is fourth dimension. You can catch it. Catch it. And take your two hands and do the restorative process. Your hands already know. Just trust them. Trust it. The brain cannot know about it, but the hands can. Do the restoration. Yanto. And now, hear it. The restoration has a sound. Hear it. And now, sound it. Join it. For a moment, the restorative process in Yanto's body and Yanto are colleagues. That's very intimate. How does it feel?
Positive, exciting, hopeful, optimistic.
That's good. That's good. And you are now a colleague of that, and a partner, not a passive victim of some mysterious process.
Indeedy.
Remember what it includes. I had no idea what you're going to discover. I promise I had no idea. I discovered that this is a block of your expression. Did we discover it? Do you remember?
Yeah.
We found that you want to speak. That you have something to say, but you will not know it until you say it. Agreed?
Yeah.
Take from it what you like. Take from it what you can. And then we discovered that there is a healing process that you can join. It has a sense, a gesture, an image, and a sound. And you don't have to be a passive recipient of depressing diagnosis anymore.
Sweet.
And that was your wish, that it grows. I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah.
At least you can do something about it.
Right.
Have we served your wish well?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, friends, this was the first Psychophonetics sound session in Findholm itself in the last 2,000 years. Thank you, Yanto, very much for grounding it all in observable reality. And it's interesting that we went right down to the hardest element in the human body, for there is no part of the human body harder than the teeth. This is the most rocky, crystallized, it's like crystals. We went right down into the most hard element and found that there is life process there too. Friends, implications are, I'll leave them to you. But if if we want to join Mother Earth, and if we want to join this as a living being, don't you think we should start from Mother Earth inside, for we are a part of it, as a living being? Can you see? Empathy with each other depends on the level of empathy with oneself. Empathy with the earth also is waiting for us to come to a deeper level of empathy with our own bodies, which is a part of this earth. For if we avoid it and want to be intimate with nature bypassing our own nature, this is actually not going to work, and why should it? But this fear. Let's face it, this fear. This fear from facing our own mortality, which is what this panic was about. This fear of facing the spirit. Because we don't know how to navigate. So what do? What we do is facing the fear instead of avoiding it. And then the fear speaks. It has a voice. And if we listen, it tells us what we need. Fear is not an enemy. It's there for a purpose. We have to empathize with our own soul on the way to souls of others. We have to empathize with our own body on the way to the body of the earth. And in case we forgot, the earth is in the heaven, and we are in the Milky Way. It's here. We have to start from here. That's what Peter did here. He started from the sand, from what was here. But he said, you have to love the place you're in, the people you are with, and what you do. He didn't wait for a garden to love it. He loved, and there was a garden. We don't have to wait until we know it all. We have to act on our spirit, as God did in the beginning. We are little gods now. So that's what I wanted to share with you, friends, as empathy, methodical empathy. I don't need to know it all in advance. I don't act on clairvoyance. I want my client to become clairvoyant regarding himself. Until he could go home and continue. And everything we did here, you can continue. Even if I never see you again, you can continue. It'd be nice to see you again, but you don't need me for that. I free you from me. It does not depend on our next meeting. It's you. What you did here with me, you can do without me. Completely safe. And that's the end of dependency of therapy. We need to empower the healer inside of the other. I know we're out of time, but I don't know, 5 minutes. Any comments or questions? Say it now.
I'd just like to thank you both for that, and for exposing yourself to that to a kind of stranger so abundantly. Yeah, thank you.
The interesting thing about Yanto, he's got a loving voice.
He has to know it. He has to know it. And he will know it when he expresses it. Because when we don't know it, we don't even hear that somebody else says so. But you're right. Nothing was missing. Well, friends, tomorrow, with whoever comes, we are in Newbold.
There is spaces in Newbold because we moved to Newbold because we had so much interest. We have a larger venue, so if you want to show up tomorrow at 11:30, you're most welcome. Bring your own lunch. And if somebody would like an individual session, Yehuda is available on Monday. They take about an hour and a half, and we ask for a generous support for his work and his travel expenses and his living expenses. So it would be great if somebody would like to have a session. There is space available.
But the main thing is that we would like to start training in this here. And here in this room sits Lizzie. And Lizzie did foundation here in Stroud with me. And look, she looks so good. So she survived it. That's such a surprise.
Foundation year actually was one of the most extraordinary and exciting things I've ever done, actually. It was astonishing. And you didn't tell me to say that. And I was going to say just now that I've been practicing what Yehuda has just done for you. I've been practicing on myself since we worked together, and I've completely got rid of my arthritis. I actually talking to my body and doing exactly this, completely gone. No medication, no anything.
Nice.
It works. It works.
Lizzie, you know, I
I
haven't seen Lizzie since when? In Stroud, what,
5 years ago.
5 years. And Lizzie, I'm not into cheap compliments, but I see you now and you look younger than I remember you.
I'm very different
Honestly.
because of this process, actually. It was one of the things that really shifted my life. I do it again.
Lizzie will join us in the foundation year. We'll start foundation year here
30th of July.
30th of July. It's 7 days retreat. And it'll be a dream come true for me to come to the Findon area and bring what was created, that was inspired all these years back from Findon in Galilee in Israel.
So if you're interested in upcoming events, please write your email address down, and or take a leaflet also, or an article I've written about psychophonetics. And I thank you all very, very much for coming and for your interest. And Yehuda has a lot in him that was like a masterclass, because he was not just doing it, he was explaining what he was doing at the same time. So thank you very much for that. And thank you for the lovely music, Nikki, and
Thank you, Nikki.
to Lawrence for the filming. We had all sorts of challenges, I think. So thank you so much, everybody, and thank you to Yehuda. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing me to Findon.